Hello and welcome back to another brand new Staying Alive podcast. I'm your host, Pippa Star. Welcome. Staying Alive podcast comes to you from the Alive Advocacy Movement.com. That's right, the Alive Advocacy Movement.com, where if you want to learn the real facts about vaping, you want to learn more, be part of maybe creating some change, meeting some fantastic people in the community who are helping to create change around vaping here in Australia. Yeah, have a look at that scan code on the screen popping up right now. If you're listening to this or watching this, wherever you are, if you've got a subscribe or a bell, yeah, now's the time to hit it. Now's the time to get involved. But geez, we've got a fantastic guest as usual. We just keep on pushing them out here on the Staying Alive podcast. Today, let's welcome the one and only Mr. Al Gore. Welcome to the Staying Alive podcast.
Hi, how you poop? Hi, everyone.
Yeah, absolute pleasure to have you here. Al has been helping out quite a lot with us in our setup, etc., with the Alive Advocacy Movement. So I figure we've got to have some declaration. I have a bit of a declaration. So yeah, look, we know each other a little bit, but there's a lot I don't know about Al yet. To be honest, there's a lot, and so I'm going to be discovering it today with you, listeners and viewers, and going to enjoy this a whole lot. So let's get into it. Al!
Hi.
Now.
Hi. Yeah.
Come on. Hope you're going
It's
well too.
it feels very strange to be doing this, I must say. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone. So,
Yeah,
but it needs to be done for the sake of vaping in Australia and the people out there. So, it's an honor and a pleasure to be doing it.
fantastic. And thank you. Thank you for doing it. Now, you've done lots of things in your life.
Yeah.
Obviously in your short 21 years or so. However,
Yeah. Hmm.
I think you're probably a few years older, but that's all right. We'll
A
say
little bit.
21 for now, right?
Okay. Thanks. I'll take it.
And
Don't
one of
feel
those
21, but yeah.
and one of those things was taking up the smokes,
That's right.
as many Australians do,
Yeah.
and many people do. Look, what age did you start smoking? What led you to pick up your first smoke?
Um, I smoked for 24 years, thereabouts. I started, as I think most people do, when I was in the military,
Okay,
um, at the age of 18. Um,
so
Originally from South Africa, we came here, the family, and joined the military, and started smoking there. Went through a few things that caused some PTSD issues,
okay,
due to the military. Um,
okay,
and then, yeah, started smoking there, left the military, carried on smoking.
yeah,
PTSD got worse, anxiety, all those things came into play. Um, Tried to deal with it the best way I could. But I found that smoking, eh, that you've got the smoking part of it, but I think that certainly the nicotine helped me to control those emotions.
yeah,
One
absolutely.
day, I don't know what happened. I just walked into a tobacconist and I've got the ego style
All
um
right. Yeah, so for those listeners who
vape.
aren't sure what we're talking about, yeah, one of the first generation vapes, one of the very
Yeah,
first, yeah.
with the silica wicks and the all that
Okay.
jazz, and some, funny enough, tobacco flavored liquid without nicotine. Um, Purchased it, and then I didn't use it for about 2 weeks, and thought to myself that I should start looking into the vaping scene and what it
Yeah.
does. I came across a few YouTube channels and things that focused on that, and then made the decision to try it. And from that day onwards, which is now nearly 12, 13 years, I haven't had a cigarette.
Oh wow. So
Um,
you say you didn't have the nicotine in the vape, though. Obviously, you
mhm.
got the nicotine from smoking when you started. Did you find that you had to add nicotine to for it to be more effective later, or where are you at with your nicotine
I
journey?
did that for about 2 weeks, waiting for an order to come with the nicotine, but for some reason it sustained me. I
Okay,
think it was something new and exciting and diverted my attention away from what I was going through mentally.
okay, yeah.
Um, and then the nicotine, well, the liquid came, used that, and yeah, it was a butterscotch
Right.
where it was okay. It
Uh-huh.
it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it did the job. And
So this is
then
the early days of vaping. What's this, 11 odd years ago? So
yeah,
yeah,
and then progressed further and further and further, and um, started acquiring more and more mods and juices and things like that. And at the time, there were so many shops available here in Melbourne in particular where you could go in and get the flavors that you wanted.
yeah.
Um, Imported the nicotine, and that 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 was it for me. I never looked back.
Right. It's interesting
Um,
you mentioned the flavors because you started on a tobacco and then you
yeah,
mentioned a butterscotch and getting into maybe some
yeah,
flavors in around maybe some of the vape specialist shops around Melbourne when they
yeah.
existed. How important were flavors to you with your quitting experience or staying
Oh,
quit?
without a doubt, they've been essential in my journey. I just don't understand why they would want to make a tobacco flavor something that is we're trying to get away from.
Yeah.
Why the government would make that what you should get. It
I
just
mean,
it
w-
blows my
w-
mind because
why?
flavors
Well, yeah.
are, I mean, they always go about the kids having, the flavors are attracting the kids, but what I'm having, uh, uh, I got a packet of biscuits last night,
No.
caramel
I hope they were the taste of
filled
cardboard.
biscuits.
No. They were
Yeah, that's
caramel.
right.
What? They were caramel.
So
What?
it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. But
Look, why not? I mean, come on. Surely all alcoholics should be given beer flavored
yeah,
alternatives that
yeah,
have zero alcohol. Surely. Why not?
that's right. That's right. But I think it also goes further than that too. I think a lot of people, out of the, let's say, the figures vary, let's say 1.5 million people that are vaping.
Yeah.
Um, it goes back to people's mental health. I really, 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 truly believe that. And if flavors mean that somebody is not smoking and has the ability to stay off cigarettes with flavors,
Yeah.
that can only be good for somebody's mental health, especially now.
Yeah, because nicotine is a natural nootropic, and a lot of people are a little bit scared about nicotine. Those who
Yeah,
may have skipped across this podcast, for instance, the first time might be thinking, "Oh, they're just a bunch of nicotine addicts. The nicotine is no good. It's just going to kill you. It's going to cause cancer and all the rest of
yeah,
it." Well, look, a little bit of a spoiler alert for you type of listeners today. And look this up. I challenge you to look this up. Nicotine is not carcinogenic. It does
no,
not cause cancer. That's the least of the worries. That's the least of the worries and the harms when it comes to smoking. And it's the least of the worries even with vaping. And vaping really hasn't got much to worry about compared to smoking, but nicotine is not carcinogenic.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, let's get back into our story.
Oh, that's all
Uh,
right. Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah.
you
So
found that
they are
nicotine really kind of helped with your anxiety and maybe
the
depression and some
PTSD and
PTSD.
anxiety. Yeah. And then it's now 2 years, nearly 2 years, that the first time that the introduction of the laws, they started talking about doing that. I went, unfortunately, through a stage where my mental health deteriorated to a point where it became uh, really difficult to be around,
Right.
because of. I remember walking up to a tobacconist and thinking to myself, should I go and buy cigarettes, or should I just try and figure out how to continue vaping?
Oh gosh, so this is as a result of the the new laws coming in like the
Correct.
last sort of couple of years or so.
Yes.
Really?
Um,
You were thinking
yeah.
about going back to smoking? After
Yeah.
how many years of not smoking?
Uh, at that time, it was 10,
Oh,
11 years.
10 years? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Um, and then I just remember waking up in hospital.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I won't go into details of what and how and where and why,
Fair
but
enough.
just to say that it affected me, and I'm sure it does affect other people in other ways. Maybe not as intensely as I felt it, um, but it really affected me, and I don't think the likes of Mark Butler and Sandra Demio, whatever his name is, have
Right.
any idea of what they're actually doing to people, um, physically, mentally, emotionally. Um, eh, they sit in their ivory towers and they don't see what's happening on the ground, of
Yeah,
what they've done.
absolutely. So
So
let me
yeah,
just
so
make
I
let me
landed up in
make
hospital, and yeah,
yeah, I want to make sure I got the story right here. Vaping bans start coming in. You're still dealing with stuff after
yep,
serving in the military. And by the way, thank you for your service. Okay, very, very important, very, very brave. We do not thank our military enough here in Australia for their service. So thank you for that. And you're going through life as a result of that. You found a way to quit smoking with vaping. um, I guess you've somewhat found a community with vaping as well. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to see that there are problems on the horizon and problems in play, uh,
mhm,
with potentially maybe losing access to your good old mate nicotine,
yep,
but at least having it done safely. And
yep,
it affected you so badly, you ended up waking up in a hospital.
yep,
Yeah, that's pretty damning. And
and
we won't go into it. I won't drill down any further deeper than what you're more comfortable with doing with that, Al,
yep,
because I can imagine that would be a rough time in your life. And also, probably, I'm guessing, setting a fire off in your belly, to say, hey, this isn't good enough, right?
absolutely. It started off as being hate. I hated those people,
Okay.
who put me in that position, but now I just feel sorry for them. Um, you touched on something earlier about the community,
Yeah.
um, and my family, but the community has been an absolute godsend for me. Um, the love and support. Uh, I tell you now, I don't think I would be around if it wasn't for the vaping community.
Yeah.
Um,
It's amazing to hear that.
but
And,
you've got
you know,
the the aspect of vaping and nicotine, but you, if you're on your own, it's going to be hard. You know, if you're part of a community where everybody comes together, and I mean, I talk to people online, I'm sure you do too, that I've never
Yeah.
said, seen their face and don't know who they are, nothing. But we've got one goal in common, and that is A, to save lives, our own lives, and to educate. And without that community, I don't even want to think of where I would be.
Yeah. So there, and you're not alone with that, and it's very important that vapors realize that they don't have to be alone. If you're listening to this and you are going through something, and by all means contact Beyond Blue, Lifeline, etc. But we also, what the vaping community in Australia has been able to do well, and in some parts around the world, as I've seen over the nearly a decade or so I've been around the scene, is that communities form around vaping. Like, just, I mean, sure, you have that social time in the smokers area where you're sharing a cigarette with your
Yeah,
with somebody you've never met before and get into a conversation, and that's kind of a good thing too. And I think that it shouldn't be um uh, only up to smokers to have that thing. But there's something a little bit more special because we're going through an experience of quitting smoking together, and we're able to share and compare what keeps us off the smokes the best, and what kept our mates in the community off. When they experienced a certain thing or whatever, or a certain dislike or like, and I think that that is what is it's an essential part of vaping community. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so I'm really, really glad that you have highlighted that, Al. And
Yeah,
I've heard very similar words come from uh, quite a few people over
yeah.
the last decade, and yeah, you just and look, with these new laws, etc. I've noticed. I'm not sure about you, Al, but I've noticed almost maybe a bit of a disunity among vaping community. Maybe not. Maybe that's probably not the right word. I think there's unity, maybe a bit of an abandonment, if you like.
Mm,
It's all gotten a bit too hard.
yeah, yeah. I think it's also because the laws and the rules change daily. I don't think people can keep up with what's going on. So, like you say, they find it too hard, and they just say, "Oh, I'll just stick to my what I know, and I'm not going to get involved and get and worry about what's happening." Which, in a way, is unfortunate because we need to try and get those people. I mean, we see it time and time again on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um, these unfortunate people that are returning to cigarettes or unable to get a product, or and it's disheartening. It's really sad. Um, and once again, it goes, back to helping those people and trying to get them into the community again, and strengthen our cause and help
Yes.
them through the hard times. You know,
Absolutely. Because it's tough. I mean, a lot of people they think as far as October 1 goes that you can just go up to uh, a chemist and grab yourself a vape. Have you had any experience with that at
uh,
all, Al?
yeah, absolutely. I've had uh, a pharmacy down the road from me. I rang them and I asked if they sell the product. They say yes, they do. I think it's only the Vive or one of those. They asked me what milligrams I'm looking for. So I said, well, I'm been vaping for a long time now, and I'm only on 3 to 6 milligrams. They said, sorry, I can't help you. We're only doing up to 20 or more. You have to go see your doctor. It's like, well, why would I want to go back to higher milligrams when I'm only I'm trying to quit and it's helping, it just, I didn't
Right.
understand it. Then I asked how much it is. They refused to tell me over the phone. I don't know if they thought it was advertising. But out of the 10 in my area, only one is stocking or prepared to sell a product.
Well, there's a bit to unpack there, Al. There's a
Yeah.
bit to unpack. So, firstly, 1 in 10 chemists you could find a vape at.
Mhm.
The only vape that they had on offer was a Vive.
Sorry,
Now,
two. Sorry, my mistake. It's two.
Ryan,
Two
let
out
me
of
get
10.
Ryan. There was 2 out of 10, but okay, so say a Vive vape, and
Yeah,
The Vive vape is a Philip Morris product, a big tobacco product.
yeah,
Oh, hang on, but isn't it big tobacco who are hooking our kids on for a whole new generation? No. The fact of the matter is, guys, and look it up, there has been next to bugger all big tobacco vapes available in Australia, let alone supplied to the youth and all the other lies and proverbial gerbial rubbish that you might hear coming out of our current government.
yeah,
There hasn't. That the first time the big tobacco really has popped its head up is
yeah,
in chemist vapes under the Vive brand, and there's been another brand which I'll remain nameless, but is very very closely associated to a lot of big tobacco. As there's a lot of big tobacco big tobacco people on their board.
yeah,
Um, so, not only that, of course, October the 1st, we were all told, no problem, vapors, you just go to the chemist and get yourself a vape. So, you're told you can't even get anything under 20 milligrams.
correct,
That, and because of the law saying, yes, you don't need a prescription up to 20 milligrams,
correct,
they've basically railroaded you by saying, we've got nothing.
correct, correct. So
Wow.
if I want to purchase from a pharmacy a product, I have to, yeah, and I want less than 20 milligrams, I have to go to my doctor, get a prescription. Whether they'll do anything anyway is probably non-existent.
Right.
You know, to find a doctor who will do it is one thing, but then to go to the pharmacy, they still won't do it. It's too hard for them.
So,
They'll need to
will you survive on what you have at the moment, Al?
probably 6 months.
Okay. So you've got 6 months, so surely, God, from what you're telling me so far, those you must be ticking off the calendar and
100%,
and thinking,
100%.
"Hmm."
You know,
And the last time you went to go and get cigarettes, or your last time you went to buy smokes because you
yep,
just had enough, I guess.
yep,
Um, it
yep.
sent you to sent you to bloody
I'm,
hospital.
yeah. The fear is real,
Yeah.
absolutely huge. I do my best to control it and maintain it, but there are days where those feelings and thoughts are pretty overwhelming. The thought of not being able to access a product that I know and I have used for such a long time that, you know, I mean, you look at the one information pamphlet, whatever, that the health department put out saying that vaping gives you causes coughing and this and that, and you think to yourself, well, that's why I stopped smoking, is because I had
Yes.
all those bloody symptoms.
Yes.
And now, since I've been vaping, I don't get sick. I don't cough. I don't wheeze. I don't wake up in the morning and feel like my lungs are coming out of my nose.
Yeah, that's what the government want to tell us that vaping does. Look, have you experienced any detrimental system effects to your health?
No,
Detrimental effects to your health since
no,
while vaping or smoking?
no,
No? What
no.
have you experienced? Have
Not
you...
physical health, that's for sure. My
Right,
physical health is fine.
right.
Um, you know,
Have you noticed improvements in your physical health since you stopped
100%.
smoking?
Yep, definitely,
Well, what are some of the
definitely.
maybe the obvious signs you can think of?
Oh, I don't have to um, stop and take a breath when I'm walking along the beach, um, play golf, go for a run. None of that. Um, the only detriment or side effect of it is, like I said, keep going back to, is the mental health aspect of not being able to do it. Everything else has been an absolute wholesome, positive experience. There's no other way to describe it. It's just been life changing,
Yeah, and you wouldn't be...
absolutely life changing.
Yeah,
Um, from the community all the way to the actual product, uh, there's no comparison. And to go back to smoking would be, uh, and I think that's what the government, you know, why are they stopping the accessibility to a product um, compared to traditional tobacco products? That's not a health um, gain. You know what I mean? What they're
absolutely.
doing is not a health. It's the opposite.
So it sounds like you feel very frustrated with our government at the moment, Al. That's what
Correct.
I'm. That's sort of the vibes I'm getting from you,
To say the least.
to say the
To say the
least.
least.
Um, do you feel? And I know that part of our live advocacy movement is about the consumers. We're the consumers or the vapors of Australia. Um, collectively trying to be heard as vapors. But you personally, Al, do you feel like you're being heard by our government?
No,
Because you've gone through some shit. Let's be put it
no,
bluntly. You've gone through some stuff.
no, no, not at all. I mean,
Here's your chance now, Al. This is going to become Mark Butler's favorite new channel, and his super fans, because of course he's got a few super fans propping him
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah,
I want you
yeah.
to tell them exactly what they should do and what they should hear from you right now.
Well, I think they need to, like I said earlier, step down from their ivory towers and look at what's happening around the country. His ideological views are killing people. There's no doubt about it. People are returning to cigarettes. Um, the accessibility to traditional tobacco is everywhere. Okay. Um, and they're trying to take away the one product that is the most successful uh, quitting product around. It's a fact. We've seen it. We see it in the stats. I want to know if this, what's going on now, looks is the success that if they were talking about.
Yeah,
Um, because to me, it's not success at all. You've got all these fire bombings. Um, what does success look like for him?
yeah. Okay.
Um, we're
Well,
not
that's...
seeing it. We're not seeing it. I certainly don't see any successful inroads into this whole thing. In fact, it's the opposite. I wanted to see a health impact statement of what happened and why they came to these decisions. Saying that it's because of the kids, that's bullshit.
yeah.
Absolute bullshit.
We know that
Um,
because we put cigarettes behind the counter, and we've
yeah.
been able to regulate that. Why haven't we done that with vapes? I mean, it's no point, is it?
no, no. And then you look at the National Drug Strategy Household Survey from last year. I'm trying to remember I think it's 9 or 8% of youth of vaping, whereas 50% have given up cigarettes. I
Right.
mean,
So there's a bit of youth vaping. His chances are that they're using it
yeah, that's right.
to cigarettes. Yeah. Well,
But
look, we
just
know that even the statistics in Australia are no more than about 4% of daily vaping among
vaping, yeah,
youths. So
yeah,
in saying that, that's not a great result considering our government had implemented lots of programs over the last few years. I saw it roll out in schools pretty intensively, um, educating kids where to buy vapes, how to buy vapes, what's in vapes, and of course with the "oh, don't vape, kids, but this is where you buy them, this is how you get them"
yeah,
message. Of
yeah, yeah.
course, that wasn't going to pique their curiosity.
That's
Hmm.
right. But I think they've also made it such a political issue, and it's now no longer a health issue.
Yeah.
Everything's now about the dollars, and I'm sure there must be so much corruption going on behind the scenes with Mark Butler and all those pharmacy deals, and not to mention what the Greens did. Um,
Yeah.
Not a word from them. I just don't get it. They put us in the position we're in, and they're just keeping quiet. You
Yeah.
know,
Seems like you've got a lot of questions for our Australian government at the moment, Al.
yeah,
I don't think you're on your own with that either.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
It's how we, and then you got the mainstream media. It's how do we change that narrative and bring it to their attention? That's that's one of the key components of this whole thing, is to get it out there, and we've got a really good base now, and I think it needs to be built on, and um, become more public.
Absolutely. And how do you think we can go about that best to do that? Of course, we've got this alive movement you've been able to help out with.
Yep,
Um, yeah.
yep.
How?
It's hard because the mainstream media are so biased anyway. Um, you've got, as for the academics as well, they've got their little bubble, and they're so well financed, I think, that they can't, that to get into, to break open that circle is really difficult. But I think we just got to keep chipping away. We've already started to see a number of the um, mainstream newspapers starting to talk about the economics of vaping, and what's happening there. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I've already seen, well, let's just say a Mark
yep,
Butler influencer yesterday. Um, yeah, with a lot of panicking tweets. A lot of tweets seem to be panicking on X over the last few days
uh,
from the Mark Butler influencers squad.
yeah,
So I think they're sort of being found out that, hey, hang on, maybe bans on vaping are causing not the solutions that we thought they would,
yep.
and maybe they
And
as
that's
you
why I would
as
ask him.
touched on.
I would ask
Yeah,
him again what success looks like, because it's uh, it's not looking very successful to me. You know, I mean, we fortunately we're in a position where we can still vape and have the means to do it. It's those people that are struggling to stop smoking, um, and to limit the opportunity or the option of vaping the way they have, or prohibit, if you want to use that word.
yeah.
That's
Well,
not success.
look, let's talk about that. What does success look like? to you. Now, what I've noticed by observation, our success, and from this wonderful conversation, is that success is quitting smoking, one. Finding an effective way, whichever way you quit smoking, doesn't matter as long as you do. All the better. The more people around you will love you for a lot longer.
Mhm.
All the better. Um, Community, being able to mingle with community seems to be obviously a massive benefit for you, as you've said. Now, which segues me on to the Alive advocacy movement. Now, uh, look, why should people join the Alive advocacy movement, in your opinion?
Um, I think, well, besides the community, I think having the Alive advocacy movement around as an educational um, melting pot, if you
Yeah,
want to call it that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the
Vehicle
more
for getting
people,
ideas out.
sorry,
A vehicle for getting ideas out.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And ideas, potential solutions, science-based information, not ideological crap, and it's centered around vaping and what it means to the individual and how it can help. And then the community is the umbrella of everything. So the more people we have joining, the more we can spread the information, spread the ideas, collaborate, come together with science-based solutions, and then communicate that out to the public. Without those vehicles, there's no way anybody would be able to fight and go up against the people, the likes of Mark Butler, and that. We just got to keep, the more people we get, the better. And the Alive advocacy movement is a perfect breeding ground for that.
well
Absolutely.
said. Well said. Absolutely. So the more people, the better. The
Yeah.
louder we get, the better. The more we
Absolutely.
educate, the better. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then the more inroads we can make into the likes of mainstream media and newspapers and all those things, the more, like you say, the louder we are, the further we can go, and the
Absolutely.
sooner we can turn this crap around,
Yeah.
because it's
And
bound to happen.
the
It's bound to happen.
more people with authentic stories like yourself.
Yeah.
There was no bullshit, no bravado, no setup to this podcast. If you are
No,
listening
I mean,
today,
I didn't want to do it.
yeah. Els
So
certainly fought off some demons, and to, yeah, as you say, to get here today, to do this podcast today, has been
but
absolutely massive.
it shows how important this is, not just to me and not just for me, but the vapors of Australia. Like I say, I didn't do it for me. Well, I kind of did because I wanted to challenge myself, but I think it's important that everybody's story gets out there.
Yeah, not only for yourself, but for those who are still smoking, who
Yeah.
may never get that opportunity to understand the benefits of being able to quit smoking, whether that be with vaping or otherwise. Yeah, it's really, really
And
important.
I hope what I've been through inspires somebody else. Um, we're all different, but all similar in a kind in another way. Um,
Absolutely.
Very important. You know,
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much, Al, for doing this podcast with me today. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to have some time around you. Um, you know, you have so much love to give, you have so much love to bring. and you're doing some amazing things that are, I think the Australians, if not around the world, will come to appreciate more as time goes on, just by you being you. And
Thank you.
that's absolutely
And thank
awesome.
you for everything as well.
No worries.
Thank you. Yeah.
No worries. Yep, and I do what I do because when other time in history are we ever going to have an opportunity to help save up to 1.3 billion lives across the planet from the perils of smoking? What other
100%.
time in history are we going to be able to prevent up to 22,000 Australians dying from smoking prematurely every year if we don't work on the real evidence? And the real evidence is available and it's out there, and we'll help lead you to it here at the Live Advocacy Movement. Once again, a massive, massive thank you and a massive round of applause, insert the round of applause here. The one and only Al Gore got
Thank
through
you.
very successfully.
And
Now it's boogie
please
time.
join Alive Advocacy. Join now.
There you go. Join us or be somewhere else. Or maybe under the daisies. We don't want that. All right. And saying that, it's time to boogie on out of here. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe. Check out that QR code. We'll catch you on the next one. On the Staying Alive podcast.
Join.